So guys, welcome to our channel once again. In today's video on our biology JAMB exam revision series, we are going to be solving some practice questions on your JAMB. So these are 20 most repeated questions on this topic, factors affecting distribution. So guys, you can feel free to pause this video at any point to see if you can get the answer to the question before we provide the answer. So we are going to be starting with the first question here. Remember, we are solving 20 questions here. So don't leave the video until we are done with the 20 questions. So here, let's start with the first question. Organisms that can be found in a fresh water pond are A. Water beetles, shrimp, water snails, and crab. B. Tadpole, water boatman, leeches, crab. C. Water lily, fish, scorpion, and dragonfly larva. D. Pond skater, water lily, shark, and mosquito larva. So guys, the answer to this question is option B. Tadpoles, boatman, and leeches are all organisms that can be found in a freshwater pond. So let's take note that crabs can be found in both freshwater and salt water. So although mostly crabs are found in salt water, but there are also freshwater crabs. So option B is the correct answer to this question. So let's look at the next question. That's question number 2. The question says, in a population study using the transient method, a student is likely to record the highest number of species in A. A tropical rainforest, B. An estuarine swamp, C. A Sahel savanna, and D. A Guinea savanna. So guys, the answer to this question is option A, and that's a tropical rainforest. In a population study using the transient method, the student is likely to record the highest number of species in a tropical rainforest because tropical rainforests are known for their high biodiversity. So they actually have a large number of different species. So we have to understand that the transient method involves studying a straight line across a habitat to record the different species that are present. So if we do that, we'll realize that in a tropical rainforest, we'll actually get the highest number of species because of the larger number of different species. That's the biodiversity. Here we have a diagram. So the question here says, which of the following can be deduced from the distribution? A. Species II is found only in locations where it rains all year round. B. Species I thrives under conditions of moderate to high rainfall. C. Species III increases in number as rainfall increases. D. The distribution of species IV is not dependent on rainfall. So guys, if you look at this diagram or this graph so well, you'll see that over here vertically you have the number of organisms, and then here horizontally on the x-axis you have the rainfall in millimeters. So guys, you see that here as the rainfall increases on this first line, the number of species drop, whereas that's on species III, the number of species drop as the rainfall increases. Whereas for species II, the number of organisms actually remains the same all through different levels of rainfall. And then for species I, you see that the number of species kept increasing until a point where it actually almost flattened up. So guys, if you look at these whole options, you will realize that option B is the correct answer, which says species I thrive under conditions of moderate to high rainfall. So you see that the species I was increasing and increasing, and up to the point where you have moderate to high rainfall, and you see that they are actually the greatest in number within the range of moderate to high rainfall. So guys, the answer to this question is option B. So guys, let's look at the next question, and that's question number 4. The major limiting factor of productivity in the aquatic habitat is A, temperature, B, food, C, sunlight, and D, water. So guys, the answer to this question is sunlight. In the aquatic habitats, sunlight is the major limiting factor of productivity, because the amount of sunlight that penetrates the water surface can greatly affect the productivity of the ecosystem. So the deeper the water, the less the sunlight that is available for the photosynthetic organisms in the water. So usually sunlight is a major factor that is limiting the productivity in the aquatic habitat. So the correct answer to this question is option C. So let's look at the next question, and that's question number 5. It says, in a tropical rainforest, non-epiphytic ferns and allies occur as A, middle story species, B, shade-loving species, C, upper story species, and D, emergent species. So guys, the correct answer to this question is option B. They are adapted to grow in low light conditions, so they actually grow under the canopy of the forest. So guys, the correct answer to this question is option B. So guys, let's look at the next question, and that's question number 6. It says, the study of an individual organism or a single species of organism and its environment is A, biotic composers, B, horticology, C, ecological concepts, D, synecology. So guys, the answer to this question is horticology. Horticology is the study of an individual organism or a single species of organism. The next question we'll consider is question number 7. It says, use the list of ecological constituents below to answer the questions below. We have 1, mango, 2, spear grass, 3, goats, 4, sheep, 5, temperature, 6, beans, 7, rock, 8, water. So the question here says, items 1 to 4 can be regarded as. So remember, items 1 to 4 are mango, spear grass, goats, and sheep. So items 1 to 4 can be regarded as A, a population, B, a community, C, an ecosystem, D, a niche. So guys, the answer to this question is a community. Here we have a group of population of 2 or more different species occupying the same geographical area in a particular time, and that's a community. So here we have mango, we have spear grass, we have the goat and sheep. So this population is meant to occupy the same geographical area, so it's actually a community. So let's look at the next question, and that's question number 8. The question says, the influence of soil on organisms in a habitat is referred to as A, edaphic, B, topographic, C, biotic, and D, physiographic. So guys, the answer to this question is edaphic. The edaphic factors are those that has to do with the influence of soil on the organisms in the habitat. So guys, the answer to this question is option A. So guys, let's look at the next question, and that's question number 9. It says, a group of organisms of different species living in a particular area is described as A, niche, B, population, C, colony, D, community. So, guys, the answer to this question is option D, and that's community. The group of different species living in a particular area is described as a community. Question number 10. A caterpillar and an aphid living in different parts of the same plant can be said to A, occupy the same ecological niche, B, occupy different ecological niche, C, be in different habitats, D, be in similar microhabitats. So guys, the answer to this question is A, occupy the same ecological niche. A caterpillar and aphid that are living in different parts of the same plants are said to occupy the same ecological niche. So option A is the answer to this question. Here we have a diagram, and the question that follows says, which of the organisms represented are notable agricultural pests? So we have II and III, I and III, II and IV, I and IV. So guys, the answer to this question is actually I and IV. I is a grasshopper, where IV is a caterpillar, and they are actually notable agricultural pests. So guys, the correct answer to that question is I and IV. So let's look at the next question, and that's question number 12. Which of the following best represents a basic ecological concept? A, the study of genes and heredity in living organisms. B, the study of individual organisms and their behavior. C, the interaction between different populations in a community. D, the physical and chemical factors that influence an ecosystem. So the question says, which of the following best represents a basic ecological concept? So guys, the answer to this question is option C, the interaction between different populations in a community. A basic ecological concept focuses on the interaction between the different population in a community. Let's look at the next question, guys, and that's question number 13. Which of the following factors primarily affects the distribution of organisms in an ecosystem? A, soil pH, B, day length, C, wind speed, and D, temperature. So guys, the answer to this question is option D, and that's temperature. So temperature is a major determining factor for distribution of organisms in an ecosystem. So the correct answer, guys, to this question is option D. So let's look at the next question, and that's question number 14. It says, ecology is best defined as the study of A, characteristics of an environment, B, the interrelationship between living organisms and the environment, C, living organisms in a particular area, D, the habitats and wildlife. So guys, the answer to this question is option B, the interrelationship between living organisms and the environment. So remember, the study of living organisms and how they interact with their environment is the ecology. So guys, the answer to this question is option B. So let's look at the next question, and that's question number 15. It says, which of the following characterizes the white mangrove? A, breathing roots, B, stilt roots, C, prop roots, D, buttress roots. So guys, the answer to this question is breathing roots. The white mangrove actually has breathing roots, which is also known as pneumatophores. So Let's look at the next question, and that's question number 16. It says, the activity of an organism which affects the survival of another organism in the same habitat constitutes A, an abiotic factor, B, an edaphic factor, C, a biotic factor, and D, a physiographic factor. So guys, the answer to this question is option C, and that's a biotic factor. So biotic factors are the factors from the living components of the environment, or the living things in the environment. So the factors that are from the living things in the environment are regarded as the biotic factors. The abiotic factors has to do with the non-living components of the environment. Edaphic factors has to do with the soil. So guys, the correct answer to this question is option C, and that's the biotic factor. The biotic factor has to do with the living components of the environment. So guys, let's look at the next question, and that's question number 17. The question says, the specific portion of a habitat which is occupied by a particular species is referred to as A, ecosystem, B, biotic community, C, ecological niche, and D, ecological population. So guys, the answer to this question is ecological niche. So remember, we said specific portion. So a specific portion of a habitat which is occupied by a particular species is actually referred to as ecological niche. So guys, that's the answer to the question. So let's look at the next question, guys, and that's question number 18. In the question here, we have a table, and here we have ecological zone, we have temperature, and then we have rainfall in millimeters. So guys, here the question says high relative humidity will be expected in zones A, I and III, B, I and IV, C, II and III, and then D, II and IV. So guys, when you look at the zones here, you have zones I, the temperature is 45 degrees Celsius and the rainfall is 300 millimeters. Zone II, the temperature is 32 degrees Celsius and the rainfall is 2000 millimeters. Then zone III, the temperature is 30 degrees Celsius and the rainfall is 2200 millimeters. Then zone IV, the temperature is 15 degrees Celsius and the rainfall is 800 millimeters. So guys, when you look at this, the relative humidity has to do with the amount of water vapor in the atmosphere. So guys, if we check this, we'll see that zones II and III will have more water vapor in the atmosphere. So guys, as such, option C is the correct answer to this question. So guys, let's look at the next question, and that's question number 19. Which of the following best defines ecology? A, the study of interaction between organisms and their environment. B, the study of the classification and taxonomy of living organisms. C, the study of the structure and function of cells. D, the study of heredity and genetic variation in organisms. So guys, the answer to this question, like you should have guessed already, is option A, and that's the study of interaction between organisms and their environments. Question number 20. The question says, which of the following is an example of an abiotic ecological factor? So guys, remember that abiotic are the non-living components, whereas biotic are the living components. So looking at the options here, option A is temperature, option B, predation, option C, symbiosis, option D, competition. So guys, the answer to this question is option A, temperature, because predation, symbiosis, and competition has to do with the living components of the environment. So guys, the odd one here, or the abiotic component here, is the temperature. So guys, this will be the end of this video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're not yet a subscriber. Also, ensure to share this video with your friends so that we can enable us reach out more audience. So guys, if you have any question regarding this video, please drop your question on the comment section below and we'll ensure to give you a response. Thank you for watching this